So Mike has an interesting question about how do you target suspended fish out in the deep water areas of the lake. Just so happens we're actually doing that right now. Number one, what I'll do is I generally, unless I have already been on a pattern of success with suspended fishing, I'll generally target classic structures first, shallow water type stuff. But if that isn't working, I'll always try, especially in the months of June and into early July, some open water suspended fishing. In this particular case, we're on a smaller body of water, and you can do it in just a general smaller body of water or someplace where you've got distinct basins. And you essentially are just targeting the deeper water that you see. Sometimes you want to look at distinct holes, but if there's just not a lot of it, the bottom line is you go out and you start casting. Now, generally when you've got some wind, the best thing to do is just set up drifts and kind of fan cast. Usually erratic type lures are the best. Well, generally the best would be soft plastics and crankbaits of a different variety in an erratic fashion. Now, obviously you can fish these fish trolling as well, but in a lot of cases, especially when they're in the upper part of the water column, the casting is actually more effective because you've got a wounded effect to that lure presentation that you really can't do trolling. In bigger bodies of water where you've got huge basins, I basically recommend that you don't start out casting. There's just too much water to cover. So what we'll generally do is we'll start by trolling, and we'll hit a variety of depths in the water column. If you're a hardcore caster and you really want to get after them casting, what I suggest is you start out by trolling, and when you have some activity, even if the fish gets away or you catch one, you mark that waypoint, and then you can come back later and target that general area in casting. Take a couple drifts through that area. The fish will usually bunch up, believe it or not, in deeper water. If you find one muskie or one pike, there's generally going to be more big predators out there. And then essentially try different levels of the water column as well. You can do vertical jigging if you want to try deeper. You can obviously cast out weighted baits and let them sink. But the one thing, especially in the early part of the season, the fish are going to suspend higher than you most likely think. So do not discount basically shallow presentations. Literally taking the same stuff that you're using, fishing structure that runs, just 5-6 feet down in the water column, and try that out in open water. And the other thing is, I've actually had them on topwater lures. If nothing else is working, don't be afraid to try topwater. I've literally caught muskies on topwater lures in 110 feet of water before. So it's an interesting way to do it. It's definitely a thing to try when you're not getting fish on the normal structure areas. And in a lot of cases, you'll find the open water fish are actively biting when the ones on structure are just following.